Before you spend all that money on a rebuild on an engine, there are some things that you probably shouldn't do, and one of them is buy cheap parts. So I'm going to give you the 7 things that I would never buy cheap. So before it starts pouring down rain, let me tell you what those are. These aren't going to really be in any particular order, but all of them are important for sure. If you want an engine that's going to stay together and give you a lot of good miles and dependable miles down the road. I'm going to keep this video really specific about your classic car, muscle car, truck, stuff that's probably pre 1980, that generation of engine, stuff that still had flat tappet cams in it. But even if you're running a hydraulic roller, this will still apply to you as well. This one hopefully won't be too controversial, but it's engine oil. Oil for sure is the lifeblood of that engine, and without the, obviously any oil in it, but not having the right type of oil is a death sentence for any of these engines. Engine oil should be chosen based on the application's needs, not your brand preference. Well, what does that mean? It's pretty simple. Figure out what the chemistry is needed to make the engine survive, live, be happy. A flat tappet cam engine is probably going to take a much different oil than a hydraulic roller engine's going to. The flat tappet cam needs a little bit different chemistry to live and to help it facilitate the things that need to happen on a flat tappet cam to make sure things going to live. Now, I'm really spoiled. I live here really close to Memphis. Driven Racing Oil is not that far away from me. I know those guys really well. It's where I met Lake years ago. It's 10 years ago now. That brand has a lot of different chemistry to fit the applications that I'm working on. The GMC truck here is using their GP1, and it's a great oil. I believe it was the last major thing that Lake formulated before he left Driven quite a few years ago, 5-6 years ago, something like that. And it works really well, it runs really well. There's tons of videos out there that Lake has done and Driven has done on that oil to understand what the properties are. It's made with Pennsylvania grade crude, the old Kendall stuff. Really, really awesome engine oil. And for sure, if you're looking for something that's going to give you the good additives that you need to make sure the engine's going to stay alive, Driven for me is the one to go with. But it may not be the right chemistry for what you're working on. So before you run down to your local auto parts store and just grab something off the shelf, make sure it's formulated for what you're working on, the type of engine, the type of valve train, and all the other details in it. So engine oil is a absolutely critical piece to this puzzle. And that's just the regular everyday use stuff. We're not even talking the break-in oil yet. We've done quite a few videos on that topic in the hydraulic flat tappet cam series that we did. I've done a few on just oil itself, but buying a formulated break-in oil, not mixing your own right off the shelf, and having a zinc additive negatively react with a additive package on an off-the-shelf oil is a smart idea. So buying the right formulated oil for what you're working on is pretty huge. Viscosity is the other side that seems to confuse folks a lot, and they see definitely a lot of questions on that online of what viscosity oil to run, and really that depends on a lot of factors. If you go to Driven's website, they've got a nice chart on there. I'll link it below as well too. I think I've got it also on my website, but that chart is really good because it tells you things like bearing clearance and type of material and what type of fuel you're using and whether it's boosted or NA. All those make a big difference in choosing viscosity. So make sure you get that right as well too. You'll probably need to consult your engine builder to get some of those specs, but that's quite all right. That way you'll know exactly what type of oil to run and the viscosity that you need to run. Valve train is a huge one, and there is so much junk out on the marketplace. I will tell you that valve train is probably one of the easiest places to make horsepower, and it's one of the easiest places to blow up your engine if you pick the wrong stuff. Forget the specs of the cam and all that. Obviously, that's important to fit into the horsepower that you're trying to build for the application and the rest of the specs of the engine. But picking the wrong stuff, if you're buying a white box brand from a retailer that has their name on it, it's probably not the highest quality stuff. It could be, but are you willing to take that chance with an engine you just spent $7, $8, $9, $10,000 on? Get a good quality camshaft, get a good quality lifter. If you're a flat tappet cam, don't mix and match brands. We've talked about this quite a bit on the flat tappet cam series. They have a crown and taper that are matched to work together. If you run a Urson cam and a Crowler lifter on there, the crown on the lifter might not match the taper on the cam. They need to be working in conjunction, so it'll facilitate good lifter rotation in the engine. So don't mix and match parts, but yeah, valve train is a huge one. I hate looking at all these blown up flat tappet cam lifters, but again, we've talked about the solution for all that, how to make it right, how to pick the correct one, how to do get a good machinist that will give you all the measurements in the block so you know that the right tolerance is between the lifter and the lifter bore. There's a lot of little details here. There's a lot of good technology out on the marketplace. The CompCam DLC lifter has performed flawlessly since the beginning, since it came out. But that lifter is only going to mask bad problems. If you're not measuring lifter to bore tolerance, you're in some difficult spots there for sure. So pick a good brand, match the cam and the lifters together. Don't swap stuff around just because your buddy on the internet told you to do so. Pick a brand, stick with it, run with it, and you'll be fine. The next three are pretty important, pretty simple, but yeah, for sure ones you're going to understand right away. And the number one down here is machine work. Now, unfortunately, with this small block that we did, it's the original block, heads, crank, rods, everything out of the GMC truck. I'm not going to name them by name, but they're local here to the Memphis area that do crank work. Didn't do a very good job of the crank on this engine, and having quality machine work, it's the foundation of everything you're doing. If it's wrong, well, you're going to have bad issues. So getting good machine work is paramount. It's really it's the foundation of everything you do. Fortunately with this one, I think we're going to be able to buy a Scat base small block Chevy crank, and we should be able to drop it right in here, replace it, and no harm, no foul. Didn't hurt the engine, but it had some issues with alignment on the flex plate, and that started the issues. And then, shame on me for not doing my due diligence assembling it, but I should have caught that early on. But again, we didn't hurt the block, didn't hurt the engine, but quality machine work. It's not a part, I get it, but invest in a good machinist. Even if you have to drive a few hours to go get to one, I would. I should have gone to Butler Performance. They're primarily Pontiac folks, but they do a hell of a job on machine work, and that's where I'll go next time. Next one's pretty simple, and you can buy some cheap stuff out there on the internet for sure, and that's getting a good quality oil pump. It's pumping the lifeblood of your engine. You don't want to cheapen out on that one. Get a good quality oil pump. Fortunately, this one had great oil pressure. Sustained itself. I ran the right oil based on the bearing clearances that are in the engine on the rods and mains. So we had great oil pressure. Thankfully, everything we did there was right. But don't cheapen out. Don't buy the cheapest thing you can find. Spend a little bit more money. It's not like oil pumps are $1,000 or even $100 at this point. You can buy a really good one. Don't buy a one off Amazon. Don't buy one off eBay you can't verify as quality. Just buy a good oil pump. I guess it's obvious what we're going to talk about next, and that's bearings. There is no reason to cheapen out on bearings. Now, I'm going to fully disassemble this engine. I will send the rods, pistons off to a good machinist this time and verify everything and make sure we got the sizing right and didn't ruin anything. But these bearings look pretty good. These were Clevite, if I remember correctly, and they were a 10 under, and the crank looks good there for sure. So, but again, I would have to throw a mic on it just to see what the that we were in good shape. We did mic this as we were going together, so I know it was good. But yeah, the wear doesn't look weird on here too much. There is a little bit on the inside, but that's not out of the ordinary. But yeah, I would like to have seen a little bit more even wear on there. I can't feel anything. I'm not catching anything with a thumbnail, so we're in good shape. But quality bearings high on that list. You can buy some really cheap, really crappy bearings out there, so for sure it's not a lot of money between cheap and really top of the line. So don't cheapen out. Buy good bearings. Didn't mean for this to turn into an autopsy, but a little bit of water in there from the antifreeze that I just dumped into there a second ago. But just looking for chunky stuff in here, and thankfully we're not finding anything. Just normal. All right, so at least the engine's in good shape, but yeah, we definitely trusted the wrong machinist on the crank, and as President Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. I trusted, but I paid the mistake of not verifying, so needs a crank. Well, the other one is a pretty easy one as well too. If you're going to put it together, assemble it, you might as well use quality hardware. Now, I went overboard. I used ARP on everything. Now, you certainly don't have to go this crazy. I did. I use ARP on everything. There's no reason to not use it on rods, mains, head bolts, or head studs. Just use a quality hardware. You don't have to use ARP. ARP is obviously the premium. There's other brands out there that you could turn to, but certainly ARP is my go-to, and I would suggest it anytime. The last one might seem kind of odd, but it's fuel system components. And why do I say that? Well, it's just like engine oil. Fuel feeds the engine. And if you're not feeding it properly, if you're not feeding it with the right amount of fuel at the right time, at the right pressure to whatever it is you're working on, whether it's a carburetor, whether it's fuel injection, doesn't matter what it is. But getting cheap components in a fuel system, oh boy, I've seen that way too many times. There is a ton of knockoff junk on the market right now as far as fuel system stuff goes. I get asked questions about it all the time. Is this a good brand? Is this good product? Does this work really well? And unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that's not name brand on the market is just really inexpensive knockoff AN fuel lines, fittings, filters, pumps. Just be careful with it, guys. It's not. I get it. We all look for ways to save money here and there, but don't cheapen out on fuel system. Feed the engine what it needs to. Take good care of it. Route the fuel lines correctly. Get the right pressure to whatever type of system that you're working with, and it'll be just fine for you in the long term. But if you go cheap, ooh, the conditions that can occur with a lean fuel mixture or even too much fuel can be catastrophic. So those are my 7 things that I would never cheapen out on when it comes to an engine build. What are your 7? Leave them down in the comments below. Tell me where I may have missed some common ones or ones that are really important. Leave a comment. Let me know which ones you would use or which ones are more important to you and which ones aren't that big of a concern for you. Those are my 7. Your 7 may change a little bit, be a little bit different, but there's for sure a lot of junk on the marketplace right now, and unfortunately, that's only going to get worse. The more knockoff product we see on the marketplace, it's just easier for offshore companies to steal ideas, brands, innovations, product from American-made companies, and it's only going to get worse. Unfortunately, not a lot of people, I don't think, really care about it. Some people say, yeah, I only buy made in the USA stuff, and they pop that on their car, and half the stuff they have is Chinese knockoff junk. It's kind of hard to get around, but buying cheap doesn't always mean buying better. So leave your comments down below. Love to read them, and I appreciate it. We're getting really close to the 50,000 subscriber mark. If you haven't subscribed yet, I should probably say that more often, to comment, like, subscribe, all the typical YouTube stuff, but I don't ever do it. But for sure, if you haven't subscribed, do so, and we'll get over that 50,000 mark and have a good time. Anyway, we'll catch you guys on the next one. We'll see you.